Hello, everyone. I see we already have some people waiting and see our live. Welcome to Et Voilà, aka Brigitte. I'm looking forward to this interview with two amazing people. I hope you're going to enjoy it too. We're going to take it very lightly. I hope it's going to be fun. Again, not to be distracted. The ones who knows me, you know that I get distracted very easily. I will, at the beginning, I will remove the comments from my screen, and then we will do a Q&A with these two people at the end of the video. So now we're not going to let them wait too long, right? I'm introducing Balázs, or aka Elron Hopkold from Denmark, and Samuel, the SP chef from Switzerland. So let me just get them in. Here we go. Hello, both of you, Balázs and Samuel. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
How are you today?
Pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing all right, thank you.
Oh, sorry, something had just moved here. Sorry, everything is upside down on my screen suddenly. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Sorry.
We are professionals, we know that.
Of course.
Yeah, but I'm not a professional, it looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna say hello to everyone. Nico, thank you for joining, and Miriam, Scientology Up North, thank you for joining. I'm gonna remove the comments and we're gonna start slowly. So my interest was to interview both of you together. Originally, it was with Ludovic as well from France. But we couldn't manage to get everyone at the same time. That happens sometimes. It's life, isn't it? But it was important to have more people in Europe speaking up, which you have already done many, many times, which I mean, I really appreciate what you're doing. But I think we need to get more people, ex-Scientologists in Europe, to stop being scared and to speak up as well. We need to people say, okay, if Samuel and Balázs and Ludovic can speak up, I can too. And there's enough people behind me to look after me, right? Well, that's how I see it. And I'm lucky that I grew up in Switzerland. I grew up with several languages, so that helps as well to be able to do interviews in different languages. I think I can speak Italian, but I don't think I could do an interview. But I'm looking to find people in Italy as well. Spain is going to be out of my reach because I don't speak Spanish. But yeah, we'll see. One day it might happen. So I had to get my notepad because my Word document disappeared from my screen. So I don't know what happened. So let's go back here. So like I said to you both, and I'll say that to our audience, I'm going to ask simple question. I might not have to ask some questions because you might have answered them automatically during your answers. And now I'm going to stop talking because, yeah, it's all about you guys, right? So for me, my first question is important is, did you grow up in Scientology? And if so, can you tell me which generation you are? And if not, how did you get into Scientology? And we'll start with Balázs, please.
Okay. So, hello, everybody. So, I was not born in Scientology. I did not grow up in Scientology. I was recruited into Scientology first time 2010. One of my old colleague called me up and we had a meeting. We sat down and he started to talk about something. I don't really know what. But at the end, he offered me to go into to make some tests, and I like to do some tests. So we ended up in a little mission in my city where I was at that time in Hungary. And then I did the test. I didn't do any Scientology there for a few months. And in 2011, I came to Denmark and basically I started to be a Scientologist here.
Okay. Samuel?
Yes, so hello there, darlings, first of all. So, yeah, I actually grew up in Scientology. I was born in a Scientology family, and I would then be second generation because my parents were Scientologists, but not their parents. So I would be a second generational Scientologist. So, yeah, I grew up in Scientology in Basel, which is a northern city in Switzerland.
And you know, I started with the first question, and I'm a very unkind person in that aspect. Is actually, I wanted to ask you to introduce yourselves for the ones who don't know you. So, if I understand, Balázs, you are not Danish, you are Hungarian. Sorry.
Yeah, correct.
Correct. And Samuel, well, I know, but you're Swiss German.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you were born in Switzerland, though.
Yeah, I was born in Switzerland in, as I said, in a Scientology family. As a matter of fact, we lived above the Scientology organization in Basel. So I really grew up in and around Scientology.
So is that the old main
Yeah,
building?
the old
Because I know
building.
in Basel they opened a new one a few years ago, right?
Yes, I think it could have been 2017, I think, where they had their Ideal Org opening. But before that, they were at Herrengrabenweg, which was a bit further away. And they were in an old biscuit factory. There was an old biscuit factory with this horrible green colored building. And that's where the org was actually in there. But they've now removed this building and they've built very high luxury apartments there. So the building doesn't even exist anymore.
Good. Well, they have a new one, unfortunately, right?
Yeah. But it's probably even emptier than the old one.
Well, yeah, it's the same, I've been told, with the new one in Paris, the new celebrity center in Paris. They spent 33 million euros on that building, and it's practically empty. Also, I'm going to put a link on Ludovic's interview, is that there was a journalist in France from quite a known TV channel who actually infiltrated herself into the Scientology and with hidden cameras, because she did originally send emails asking if she could come in and film, and they obviously said, no, thank you, go away. And therefore she decided to go in. She did the test, and obviously, you know, she's depressed and everything. So that was quite interesting. And you don't see much from the building, and they have to blur the faces of the people as well. That's
Yeah.
a law in France, like in Switzerland as well.
Mhm.
And but you can actually make out there's not a lot of people walking around. So
Yeah.
it's quite an interesting, but it's in French, but obviously with YouTube, you put the subtitle into English, and it's
Yeah.
not a long video. It's, I think, 6 minutes. But
Okay.
it's interesting. I thought it was very interesting. Sorry. It was just a little thing in between. Sorry. Also, Balázs, you are known because you protesting a lot in Copenhagen with our friend Miriam, aka Scientology up north. And Samuel, we've seen you in Copenhagen as well not long ago,
Mhm.
protesting them. You guys had an amazing interaction with. Was he the head of the Sea Org in Denmark?
Head of the Sea Org.
You mean
Was he
probably the head of OSA?
the head of OSA? Sorry. Yeah, you see, that's the
Or
thing. The
is he?
technical.
I'm not sure if he's head of OSA or he works in OSA, I think, but I don't
Okay.
know what his position was. Do you know, Balázs?
I don't think he is the head of OSA, because we have the CLO,
Yeah.
the management, and there is another OSA section or department,
Hmm.
and they are seniors to these guys.
Yeah.
So
He was really trying to intimidate the ladies. I thought that
Oh
was
yeah.
quite. I was actually shocked. Don't they know in
disgusting.
Scientology that we are in 2024, in the 21st century? Seriously, I'm 1 meter 35 meters high or tall. I would have gone into his face. I tell you, I can do that. My brother is nearly 2 meters tall, and I can do that with him when he makes me angry. But I understand. For example, I felt so bad for Bianca. He traumatized her. It was ridiculous how bad he was, and he seemed to know you, Samuel, didn't he?
Yeah. He looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, you're Samuel," and then he walked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my siblings, they worked there. They worked there for many years,
All
and
right.
of course, I've been making troubles, shall we say, with my YouTube videos and different letters I've been sending to Denmark, org, and so on and so forth. So they already knew about me when I arrived there.
So yeah, I was quite I think he knew that if he was targeting the women, he was more impactful.
Yeah.
But he didn't get rid of you guys at all anyways.
No.
So um good for you guys. I really liked you. I think I was watching your stream, Samuel, but I was actually jumping from stream to stream to see different angles, and sometimes I forget what I'm seeing.
Yeah, sure.
But it was a good protest. There are not many protests in Europe, but just before I go to the next question, there is the next protest in Sussex, in East Grinstead, at the end of October. We have to support them. Obviously, you know, I have a zoo at home, so I can't really leave house. And I have problems with my leg. I couldn't stand all day long or an entire weekend. I think it would be too much. But I do appreciate every single person who goes there and have the. And I mean, it's October. We haven't had a good summer in Scotland. I think in England they had a little bit better summer, but it's October and the weather is not good. And end of October, it might either be good weather, but it's gonna start getting cold. So I appreciate that. So if you're interested for the ones in the UK interested to know more about it, check what's his name? Oh, Apostate Alex's YouTube channel. He has many videos he's done in the last few days about it. Go and support him and support or check out how you can join the protest if you're interested in that. Now back to you too, because it's all about you guys. So Balázs and Samuel, how long in total were you in Scientology?
Let me count. I was recruited basically in 2011, and I came out in 2021. So it was 10 years, 10 and a half years
Mm.
in
That's a
total.
long time for someone who didn't grow up in Scientology.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Samuel, not Samuel, sorry, Samuel, Ludovic. He didn't grow up in Scientology either, and he was about 20 years in Scientology. So, but in France as well as in Switzerland, there is no Sea Org. So he was on staff, but how you say that? Well, he left his job to be a full-time auditor for staff members in Paris. So 20 years is a long time for someone who originally wanted to find out about how he could do better music or be a better musician. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So let me see, because I have inverted my questions here. So, yeah, like we said, in Switzerland, there is no Sea Org, Samuel, but you did go quite young to the Sea Org in East Grinstead in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the SEOC, what they do is they will send out missions. They will send out missions to orgs, to smaller orgs, so these smaller organizations, and for different reasons. Maybe because not enough books were sold, just not enough money, generally speaking. Certain orders are being ignored and not being done, so they're sending a SEOC mission down there, and of course for recruitment. So they sent down a mission to Basel, and they sent out down this mission for recruitment. And it was my two siblings and I. We were in the org, and we were doing courses. And then after courses, either during break, no, it couldn't have been during break because break is only 15 minutes. So probably after we were done with our course time, they basically caught up to us and recruited us for the SEA organization. So my sister, she was 13 at the time. My brother was 12 and I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And we were sent each to a small room where they would talk to us and basically tell us how great Scientology is. And we, of course, already know that because having grown up in Scientology, having done all of these courses already, and that there's no point of going to universities and studying anything because you've already studied everything, because you are an immortal being who has been born again and again and again. So if you want to become a carpenter, well, why would you want to do that? You already did this in a past life. If you want to become a lawyer, a scientist, or anything like that, you've done all of these things in different lifetimes in the past. But being a SEOG member, that's something you probably have never done before. And it is the most important and most crucial thing. Look at all of these other religions. They've been around for thousands of years, and look at how they failed humanity. They have not managed to save humanity, but now we are here. We've only been around for a few decades, and we are here to save the planet. And that is why, Simon, we need you right now to join, to sign this contract, to help, to make your life your life give purpose and meaning and help others, and so on and so forth. So anyway, in this sort of thing, they said to me, I'm assuming they said the same thing to my brother, my sister. And to me, they also said, because I didn't really like going to school as a 9-year-old, not much of a surprise, but they basically sold me by telling me, you'll never have to go to school again. So I was like, oh, brilliant. Where do I sign? So then I signed when I was 9 years old. I eventually, however, then actually went to the SEOG when I was 13 years old, not at 9.
Okay. But they ask you kids if you want to go without your parents being there.
Parents have absolutely no say in that, because in the mindset of a Scientologist, the parents are just other spiritual beings. In Scientology, they're called thetans. They're just other thetans. And I, as well as my mother and my brother, we're all just thetans. We're not brothers or the son or the daughter or anything like that, because we've lived thousands of lives, have had hundreds of mothers and fathers and sisters. So there's no family connection at all. So there's no reason to ask the parents or talk to the parents first. Now, it is possible to talk to my parents beforehand. I just doubt they did that, because there's no reason for them to do that. There's no reason for them to talk to the parents
probably
first.
not, right?
No,
Probably
because we are immortal spiritual beings who have been around for millions of years. So naturally, at 9 years old, I know exactly what I want. I completely understand the consequences of signing a contract to work for the rest of my life. I understand what that means exactly at 9 years old. So naturally, if I sign a contract, it is valid.
So you see, you can understand how I feel when I hear that, who has never been in there, how possibly a 9-year-old can decide for himself if that's going to be good, even though I understand you grew up in it and for you it's normal, and you don't need approval from anyone. You are the one who decides if you want to go or not. But
Right.
if you would have said, I don't want to go to the Sea Org in the UK, would you have had any issues afterwards? Or was that not a thing for you?
Well, I knew that if I don't follow the party line, meaning I don't follow what is being told and expected of me, I will get into troubles. Well, why don't you want to join the Sea Org? We are presenting to you that the Sea Org is the only thing that will help and save mankind, but you don't want to join? Well, clearly you're a criminal.
We're giving you the cherry on the top of the cake, right?
Clearly you must be a criminal if you do not want to join the Sea organization, because there's nothing that gives you a higher purpose in life. There's nothing greater than joining the Sea organization. So if you don't want to join, then clearly you're a criminal. And remember, Brigitte, I was 9 years old. So in Scientology, there is no such thing as unconditional love. So unconditional love is the love a mother has for the child, regardless of how they look, how they are, and so on and so forth. That does not exist in Scientology. In Scientology, it's all conditional. So you are only
put my head around.
Well, you're only so much worth as much as you do Scientology, as many courses I've done. I mean, by the time I was 9 years old, I had done dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of Dynetics Book 1 auditing. So this is auditing, but not with an e-meter, with a machine, but the old school way before the e-meter was even invented.
With the book and the notepad.
With the book and the notepad, like it describes in Dynetics, the book that came out in 1950. I had done the purification rundown, which is the very first step of the bridge to total freedom. And I have done dozens of courses in Div 6, which are introductory courses, fairly simple courses, really. And so I always had to do these things to prove myself to my parents that I am a good person. You know, I had to go out and give out leaflets and flyers to strangers and recruit people for the org to come and do a course or a test or whatever. I had to do all of these things to prove to my parents that I'm worth of being loved. Because if I don't do these things, I don't give anything. There's nothing that I give, because in Scientology is very important, the idea of exchange. So I give you something and you have to give me something back. So why would my mother give me love if I don't give anything back? I have to give something back. I need to deserve love. So therefore, I have to do these courses. I have to do recruiting and so on and so forth. And of course, there's another aspect, and then I'm done with the answer, which is that when you grow up in Scientology, you have nothing to compare it with. So A, you have nothing to compare it with, and B, you're not allowed to listen to your instincts. You're not allowed to listen to your reactive emotions. So, you know, if somebody were to jump at you out of you with a knife, there's a certain reaction you will have. Well, you're not allowed to have reactions like that. I mean, this is maybe an extreme example, but for example, if somebody's talking to you and you can feel there's a weird vibe there, well, you're learned in Scientology to suppress that. You're not allowed to acknowledge these emotions. You do that by doing these so-called TR drills, training routine drills, where you learn to completely smother your emotions. So you grew up in Scientology, you have nothing to compare it with, and you don't have any instincts that tell you, oh, this might be a bad idea. So there's nothing stopping you from doing anything in Scientology as a child.
My brother and I, we've been loved so much by our parents that I can't put my head around how it would be not being loved by them.
Well, I
I just,
wouldn't say I was not loved, but I was often attached to doing Scientology. I could imagine that up to the age where I then started to do courses, and I think I started to do courses when I was 5, 6 years old, somewhere around that. I think up to that point, they probably gave me unconditional love because, of course, I couldn't do anything as an exchange. I couldn't give anything back, right? I think it's fair to say that that would have been the case. But then the more I've done in Scientology, the more courses I've done, the more responsibility I started to take, the more they expected for me to give back, because of course they paid for all the courses, which is a lot of money. And then they had to send me also to private schools because I was a difficult child in the school, and the school board actually wanted to send me to a psychiatrist to get me evaluated if I have maybe learning disorders or anything like that. And my mother, she said, oh my God, and it took me away. And then she sent me to, it turned out then to be 2 private Scientology schools she sent me to, so that I wouldn't be evaluated by a psychologist or anything like that. And so they had to pay even more money for me to go to school. So I had to really give back for all the sacrifice that they gave for me.
okay. Yeah, I just, it's difficult for me. Even if she might, or if they might have loved you, the 3 of you, it was probably not the way we were loved. Have you ever been,
Possibly.
sorry to ask, I'll come to you, Balázs, in a second. Have you ever been hugged by your mom and your dad?
Yes, as a child, definitely. With my stepfather, it's well, my dad. I mean, he's my stepfather, but to me, he's my father because he's been in the picture since I'm like 1.5 years old or 2 years old or something. It's been very difficult, actually. We usually give ourselves the hand. We just shake hands, and if we do give a hug, it's very awkward and very sort of. It just feels weird because we've never done that really. It's very, very stiff. It's very formal, so to speak. I mean, of course, now not anymore because my father disconnected from me. He doesn't talk to me anymore. But up to that point, and before he disconnected from me, a few months before, I've decided to really, every time I see him, just to give him a hug. Just even if it feels weird and uncomfortable, to just do it, you know. But yeah, but my mother, I can't even remember the last time I had a hug from her. I mean, the last time I saw her was in 2012. And from 2005 until 2012, she didn't have to take care of me anymore because Sirg was taking care of me. And she was working in a different organization as I was, so we didn't really see each other. So I don't know if she gave, I mean, I assume during those 7 years, she must have given me somewhere here and there a hug. I honestly cannot remember. And as a child, yeah, of course she gave me hugs as a child, but I can't remember exactly. But I mean, yeah, not really.
It hurts me for you, seriously. And for all the others that, anyway, I don't want to leave Balázs out of it. So you didn't grow up in Scientology, but from what Ludovic told me yesterday, with time, he didn't have time for friends and family, and he actually did just go to work and did all his courses. How was it for you?
It was sorry, it was the same for me. When I was in the Sea Org, or even when I was a staff member at Narconon, Denmark, which is a drug rehabilitation center, a front group for Scientology.
Yes.
I was working all day long, all night, every day. No matter what time we woke up, let's say 6, sometimes 3 o'clock when I was punished. It was long hour every single day. So we worked average hours, I would say 13 hours a day. That was average. Sometimes more, sometimes less. You know, on Saturdays we have a half day, so it's less working hours. But otherwise, I couldn't make any friendship anyway in the Sea Org. And you cannot really have any friend in Scientology. Everybody will snitch on you, so it doesn't really matter. But my family, I couldn't even call my family either. I was on a mission, you know, in other countries, so I barely talked to my parents or to my sister, for example. So it was, yeah, it was very tight life, let's say that.
And and what did keep you in Scientology for so long? Didn't you miss your family and friends?
My family, not really. Mm, it's hard to say. I was about to make a video on my own YouTube channel about which one is worse, when you grow up in Scientology, when you have no parents, kind of, or when you
Yeah.
grow up with abusive parents. So, and now I know the answer. I always wondered which one is
Okay.
worse, if somebody doesn't have any parents or if it is abusive, and who doesn't have like the second gens, third gens, they don't really have parenting uh, around them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's much worse for them. But no, when I was in Scientology, I came to Denmark. It was a huge part of the deal why I came to Denmark, because I wanted to leave behind everything and everybody. I didn't have so happy life back there in Hungary at that time. Um, and I wanted to change. And this was the golden ticket to get out of there, that environment, that mentality. And why I stayed in Scientology for that long, you know, sometimes I wonder why. I was not that intelligent, or maybe a bit stupid. I don't really know the answer.
I wonder,
Uh,
didn't you feel like you had nowhere to go and it was better to stay? Probably.
yeah, you are very close to that. Yes, I never wanted to go back. I know what is waiting for me. I came from there, so I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I had to stay here, and I did not know anything else and anybody else but Scientology and Scientologists in Denmark.
Yes.
So it was easier for me, yes, to stay in the Scientology circulation and live the life in that bubble.
I'm so sorry for the both of you. Really, I can't imagine what it has been. Um, I want to know from you guys, what kind of jobs have you done while you were in Scientology? Um, we know a little bit about Samuel because it's in his handle, and from some of your amazing videos. Um, Balázs, you said a few things. So, Balázs, if you can start, what kind have you done just one job, or did you go from job to job?
In Scientology,
May I just
sorry.
quickly interject just for a second, just to go
Sure.
back on something that you said, Balázs, about you said you were asking you the question about who had a worse childhood. And I just wanted to say to that I personally do not see myself as having had a terrible childhood. That is not to say that, you know, nobody else doesn't have a terrible childhood when I grew up in Scientology. I wouldn't say my parents were abusive, really. They were ignorant. And however, they genuinely thought that what they were doing was the right thing. They genuinely wanted to do the best thing for the children. So, and I want to say that to also to make you, you know, that you understand that what you went through is valid, of course, and just because you might see or think what I went through was worse, it doesn't change or alter your own childhood or the trauma that you went through a child. And I like to, I mean, my philosophy with these sort of things is don't compare yourself to other people or their trauma, but compare yourself to yourself. And that is, I mean, that's how because for many years, I didn't even acknowledge my own story. I didn't acknowledge my own trauma because I would say, well, what I experienced was nothing compared to that person. So, but somebody else will have it way easier than you, always. So, you know, I'm saying this just so you don't put yourself down or say, well, your childhood, well, that wasn't really anything compared to that or that person.
Okay, I understood.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samuel. Yes. So, what did I ask? Ah, yes. Jobs.
Oh, the jobs, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean while I was in Scientology or when I was the part of the elite group, the CEO organization?
Well, that's what I was going to come, because I didn't know exactly what you were doing in Scientology. So you were in the Sea Org. So what kind of jobs did you do? Did you only had one, or did you have multiples, or did you go from one thing to the other?
In the Sea Org? I was in the Sea Org for less than 1.5 years. So I was never posted, meaning I never hold any position in the organization. So I never had my own job. I was always replacing somebody or hopping in, helping out here and there. So I was jumping around job to jobs. And I can give you a few examples if you want.
Sure, yes.
Okay. I started as a registrar in AOSH EU. That person is responsible for selling selling the courses and the auditing session, the bridge, basically. So the money is coming there. But I thought, guys, this is not for me. I don't really want to do this. All the time calling people for the same BS, let's say that. And some of them I knew, and I did not want to call them. I knew the financial situation, how they are, standing with that, and so on. Anyway, so after, of course, I got in trouble, and I ended up in the kitchen as a dishwasher. I liked it, I liked the kitchen. There was some food for free here and there, between breaks and no breaks, and that was good. Yeah, I was a course supervisor in the Sea Org, and that person is administrate all the Sea Org members, study courses, what they study at the moment or in the past, give them the materials and so on. So I was that person for quite a long time, actually. That was my longest. It was, yeah, a few months. What else? When I was in Los Angeles, for example, I was studying all day long for 1 month. So that was my job, to study Scientology.
Okay.
You want more examples?
Yes, go on. I want to know everything.
Yeah, sure. What else? Let me think. I was the extension course officer who is taking the lessons and correct the lessons, who are doing some Scientology courses, via mail or email or anything like that. So I was the supervisor for that, for all the basic courses and congresses, and I have done almost literally nothing. No basics, no no courses like that. Maybe like two of them, but it was in Hungarian and I don't even get it. It was gibberish. The Dianetics, the original thesis, it is like full of crap. So anyway, what else? Many times we had to be kind of the call center guy. We had to call people up for the events, sign them up or make sure that they confirm that they are coming. Yeah, I like that because I could just talk to people as many hours as I can, like to one person. So I didn't need to do anything else. So sometimes I like it. What else?
You were busy, yeah?
Yeah, let's say for now that's it.
And Samuel?
Well, when I was in the SEOC, so I have to clarify, between 2005 and 2008, I was in the so-called Cadet Org, which is an organization within the SEOC for children who are legally not old enough. Now, in theory, you can join the SEOC when you're 14 years old. So remember, I went when I was 13. And I then tried to do the boot camp, which is known as the EPF. I then failed. So then I remained in the Cadet Org until I was 16. And then with 16, I did the boot camp again. So during my time when I was in the Cadet Org, I was in charge of getting in income. I was in charge of income. I have to make money happening for the Cadet Org. So what we did laundry. We did laundry for the SEOC members. We would iron the shirts and then, do a full laundry basket is something like, I don't remember, maybe £3 or something per shirt, ironed 20 pence, things like that, as well as baking and making cookies and cakes and flapjacks and pancakes and things like that, which I would make during the day. And in the evening, when the SEOC members would come back from a day's work, we would sell it to them. Again, a piece of cake, 50 pence, pancake, 60 pence, or whatever it was, something like that.
Yeah.
And that way we could generate an income. And with that income, we were able to give ourselves a tiny little pocket money, as well as be able to buy uniform. And then we had also proper uniforms and things like that. So that's what I did basically during my time in the Cadet Org.
You had to buy your own uniform.
Oh,
it
yes.
wasn't just provided to you.
No, we had to buy our own uniform. In theory, CLO, which is the Continental Liaison Office, which is the management organization within the SEOC organization, the Cadet Org is actually under them. And Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, he wrote very clearly that CLO is supposed to give a certain amount of money to the Cadet Org, a certain percentage of the income. However, the income in CLO was so low and so pathetic, they were not able to give ever any money to the cadets, at least during the time that I was a cadet. As I as I understood, as I heard from an ex-Scientologist, after I had left the Kredok and I went into the Siok, somebody actually managed to get CLO to start paying some money to the Kredok. But until that point, we didn't have any income really. We had to make our income by doing laundry, by doing these cookies and cakes that we were selling. And with that money, we were able to buy our uniform. We were able to do a couple of trips as well, like educational trips somewhere. And we got a little bit of a pay basically. And then after I finished my boot camp, the EPF, I then first was stationed in the canteen. So the canteen is like a little kiosk, but for the staff members.
Okay.
And when I took that over, it was a tiny little pathetic thing. It was like instant coffee, a kettle, a pack of crisps, and maybe like 2 different chocolate bars. And that was basically it. That was the canteen. And the reason being is because for a very long time, there was no canteen, I see. And what they would do, they would just put a bucket, like a small little tray with some coins. And people were expecting to just pay for it by throwing the money in the tray. But many people just didn't pay for the stuff. They just took it. And so naturally, there was a minus, and they were never able to expand, because there was never a surplus in the income. So then I came there. And then what I started with my knowledge of baking in the Kredok, I took my own pay. So I took, I think, 20 or 25 pounds of my own. I went on a Saturday morning, which is the time where you can actually go. You have to clean your room and so on and so forth. And you have about 1.5 to 2 hours time where you can go into town to do some shopping. So I took my money, went to town. I bought baking ingredients, and I started to bake cakes and so on, which of course sold immediately because they knew about my cakes and so on and so forth. So they knew they were already great. So I was able to make money, and all that money that I made was all plus, because obviously there was no minus occurred because I used my own money to buy these ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
And then with that basis, I was able to expand. And at the end, I had a whole room full of articles. And while that was happening, I started working in the galley, which is a ship's term for the kitchen. So I started working there in the kitchen, in the washing up, cleaning the dining rooms, helping a little bit in the kitchen, but mainly really the washing up in the dining room. And then during that time, the guy responsible cooking, his name was Christopher. He was American from Chicago. He got married, and he decided he's going to take some holiday because he got married, right? And it was just him and I. Okay, so 2 people. We were responsible for this little canteen, so this kiosk. We were responsible to cook the food for 350 people for lunch and dinner. We had to do all the washing up, all the pots. We had to clean the kitchen, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4 dining rooms we had to clean. 2 people. So we had to do that twice. Also, the 2 of us. We would sometimes get help from the EPF. So this is the boot camp, because within the boot camp, you get missions where it says, okay, you need to go and clean that, you need to tidy up that. So sometimes we would get them to help us out, but we really had to fight to get them. It wasn't like, oh, they need help, no problem, and send them off. We really had to fight and talk and so on. So it was really difficult. Anyway, so we were 2 people, and he decides to, go his merry way for 12 days on this holiday for 12 days. Or it was either 12 days or 11 days and 12 nights, something like that. I don't remember exactly. And I was supposed to go into the kitchen and cook, and then somebody else from the same department where we are stationed would go into canteen and be there during the lunch and dinner hours. And that is how it was going to work. And so I ended up basically sleeping hardly anything at all. So I ended up sleeping on a flour bag, which was in the storage room there in the galley during the night, so that I would even have enough time, because I would just sleep maybe 3-4 hours, if that, and then just get up and then start working again. And then one time at 3:00 in the morning, I was on a slicing machine, slicing salami, and for the following day. And I fell asleep while I was slicing the salami. And I went like this, and it cut me across here with a slicing machine. It's a blade that turns.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Right. And on the fingers, anyone who got a paper cut or anything, it bleeds quite a lot. And there it cut off 2 millimeters or something of my finger. And so it bled a lot. And I got in a lot of trouble for that, because how dare I get an injury? Anyway,
Yeah, how dare you?
after I survived these 12 days, which was the most horrific time I've ever had, it was so much stress, because remember, I have absolutely no schooling in cooking. I have no clue. I just have to go by taste, by I don't know. I'm lucky because I was born with this strange way of tasting. When I taste something, or rather when I think of something, of an ingredient, I immediately taste it. And actually talked about with other chefs about that. And very rarely people know what I'm talking about. So I can think of something and I immediately taste it. And I can think of another ingredient and I can taste them together and I know whether they go well together or not. So I have this natural thing.
I know, I've heard that before. And you know who told about that here in the UK? Oh, wait, I was going to say the wrong name. Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, Gordon Ramsay, really? Oh, that's funny.
I've heard him say that, and I thought that was quite strange, but I thought when you see his programs, when he's teaching people to cook, and he say, you have to taste it, because he said, I know how it tastes up here,
right.
but they don't know how it tastes up here. So they have to taste. And then you have apprentice cooks who say, I don't like fish. I can't taste it. And you say, then you shouldn't be a cook. So I'm pretty sure it was Gordon Ramsay. Yeah.
So I was born with this, because as well as a child, sometimes I had to cook for myself food, and I would just try things out, So anyway, and so I use this ability, or whatever you want to call it, to try to upgrade the food, because the food that this guy made, it was edible, but there was no love in there. There was no, there were no spices, no herbs, nothing. It was very bland. And, it was basically food to give you energy, but it wasn't anything to give you a smile, basically. And I wanted to, make it better, because I knew it could be better. And so I really did a very good job. And the statistics, because everything in Scientology is tracked by statistics, it went through the roof. I mean, it went, I don't remember the numbers, but like when he was there, it was like 2,000 points a week. And when I was there for this 1.5 weeks, in this 1 week, it went up like 3 or 4 times of that, right? Wow. And the way it works is you have a piece of paper and you have to write down how good the food was. And it was a scale from -7 to +7. You say, oh, the food was a 4, the salad was 3, or whatever it is. And then that's how the points are counted. So anyway, everybody was very happy. Christopher came back and he was really happy. And his senior and his senior and his senior, they were very happy, because at that time, that statistic was a main statistic of the organization. Ooh. And as the main statistic of the organization, it played in the birthday game.
Oh, yeah.
And when the higher the statistic is, the more points you get. So the birthday game, to just explain it very briefly, every year, the different organizations, they basically compete to find out which organization is the best. And they track that by point system of the statistics. So you have a number of statistics that are chosen as the main organizational statistics. And these give you points every week. And then obviously by the end of the year, the person who has the organization that has the most amount of points wins the prize, basically. So that's the birthday game, very simply. And because it was such an important statistic, because of that, they really wanted to push that I remain in the kitchen, that I work and cook in the kitchen, and Christopher doesn't cook anymore. And so what happened is that I ended up staying in the kitchen, and I remained in the kitchen, and he mainly did the washing up and the cleaning of the dining rooms, as well, helping me out in the kitchen. And what happened is that it went up and up and up, and then we had to always improve. So I basically, now I'm rambling a little bit. So anyway, I ended up being the cook, but I was still posted as the canteen C. So I was never actually given the position of the cook for whatever reason.
Oh.
Doesn't matter, but I basically did the cook all the time. And then in 2012, when I was 20, I left the Sea Org. I came back to Switzerland, and then again, I just kept on working in the kitchen. Very briefly, I worked in security for a few months, but then since then, I've really always been working in kitchens and hotels and things like that.
You know what? I'm hungry now.
Well, I already
Can I
ate.
say something to this?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, when Samuel was here in Denmark and we protested together, and after the day we went back to the apartment, and he was cooking for us even in the morning and so on. And I can tell you guys, it was, I almost said something bad, but it was excellent. I mean, the
I
F word
believe
I
you.
almost said, but it was super tasty. It was just like, when you literally go to a high rated restaurant, like I don't know how many stars, 5, 7, I don't know how many exist, but it was, yes, it was a yes, a pass.
A pass. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You should get your Michelin stars.
Absolutely not. I'm not gonna get through that stress. Plus, as well, they're not anymore what they used to be. It's much easier getting a Michelin star these days.
I have to say, I've been to one Michelin star. Do they have one or two here in Edinburgh? It was nice. I thought it was too expensive for what it
Mm.
was. My
Yeah.
mother, that I invited to, said, I'm still hungry. We go to Burger King. And
Yeah.
I've been to other restaurants that don't have any stars at all, where I thought uh, I underpaid that good it was. So,
Yeah.
it depends. Sometimes it's their names that weighs more than what they're cooking, or
Well,
the guy.
it's more important the presentation. The presentation is far more important, I feel, in these Michelin stars than not necessarily the taste, but really the satisfaction of the customer. Because you
Yeah,
see,
it's
when you
nice to
plate when you
see.
when you plate when you plate a plate and you make it too full, it looks a mess. So that's why you put very little here and there, and maybe a little leaflet there and a little thing there, and it looks very nice, but it doesn't actually fill you at all. And the priority is on looks, really. Of course, taste. It has to have excellent taste, but it's mainly looks and taste, but not really that the person leaves satisfied.
I have to say, yeah, I like to see it nicely presented, but um, I don't want to have one pea chasing another pea on my plate and there's nothing else on it, with a
Yeah.
few strings of herbs that you can't eat. And I want a good meal. I don't want it to be thrown on my plate either, but
Sure.
it's not that important for me. It's not that important. But anyway,
Yeah.
um but we have
Yeah.
to stop talking about food so because I'm hungry now. So I need to stop thinking about it. And I promise, you have already answered some of my questions, so I'm not
Okay.
going to
Perfect.
go too far. I just need to read my handwriting, which is terrible these days. So I got that. So I'm going back to something a bit more serious again. So how did you leave Scientology? Did you leave, or what made you leave? Or did you, we heard many stories where people had to escape. So I don't know how it is in Europe. Probably you don't really escape unless I don't know about it. So, Balash, what happens that you said enough is enough?
Yeah. Um, so after the Sea Org, I left the Sea Org in 2018, and I was a public Scientologist until 2021.
Mhm.
And basically, I did not do the bridge, so I did not do anything. I was just around. So I decided, let's find out myself, if the e-meter works or not. the thought was in my head because when I left the Sea Org, I got the security check, the interrogation, what I have done wrongly or badly. And the e-meter was not really working on that way how I expected. That was my longest session with the e-meter, so that's why I had not too much experience with auditing.
Yes.
I just did the purification, the Purif, the sauna program in Scientology, nothing else. So anyway, I asked them if I can get some sec check. I was in Malta, moved to Malta, I was in Hungary, so I was all over the world. And there is a policy in Scientology what says if you go to a mission or you leave the base and when you come back, you need to get a security check if everything is okay or what happened exactly. So I used this information and they said, yeah, sure, you can get the sec check. We don't mind, just pay. So I paid one intensive, which is like, I don't know, $253,000 around. And yeah, and I ran out of the time and I needed to buy another intensive. So, but before that, before I needed to pay again, I knew I will run out of time. And I already, got enough knowledge from the e-meter. It's a total BS. It doesn't work at all. How they say it works. It does not. So we can cheat and we can manipulate and we can. It reads something, but we don't really know what. So anyway, I got enough because of that, and I went onto the internet and started to look up Scientology, on YouTube, on Google, everywhere. And I found ex-Scientologists, ex-York members, actors, Paul Haggis, growing up in Scientology, Aaron. So I started to watch all of these videos and stories. And, I was still in SecCheck. So, and I needed to pay. So they were calling me. And I got enough information. I got enough information from the internet in a couple of weeks, in very short time about the OT levels, what it consists, and so on. So basically, the videos got me totally, out of Scientology. And I decided I am not going back anymore. I'm not going to pay my next intensive, and I will just disconnect them slowly. And I started to not pick up the phone, to not answer on the messages, to block people, who are Scientologists or who were Scientologists at that time. And I got to the point that basically I threw out everybody out of my life. And I could just send the official email to Scientology that I am no more, I am not a Scientologist anymore, and do not contact me, and I quit Scientology. And that was at New Year's Eve in 2021.
Wow. Wow. And did they harass you in any way or shape afterwards?
Afterwards, no. Until the point when I came back to the scene and Scientology up north created her YouTube channel and the protest started, we found each other and so on. After that, I did not really get any harassment still, but when I am around, they try to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is the worst what I got from them.
And you, Samuel, how did it go for you?
Well, I was so I came back into Switzerland when I was 20 years old. That's when I left the SIOC and I came back to Switzerland. And after a few months, I got a letter saying, "Dear Mr. Zöli, you can go to military service because as a Swiss citizen, all males have to go and do military service. There's no,
Yes.
you can't choose not to do it. Of course, there are certain circumstances where you don't qualify, maybe, but as a rule, all males have
And
to
you
go.
can't say, I'm a Scientologist, I'm not going to the army.
No, you can't. No, that they'll probably laugh at you. And so I ended up being there for 10 months. And after that, well, during that time, I started to work with lots of young people who probably never even heard of Scientology before. And
Yeah.
up to that point, I didn't really have much contact with other people that were non-Scientologists. And I had a
Yeah.
very obscured picture of people that are not Scientologists. You know, I saw them as degraded beings. I saw them as people who are just stupid or ignorant, you know, drug addicts. There are, you know, whatever, all of them, every second person has to take psychiatry drugs to even be able to function properly and all of that. And I came to realize that's actually not quite the case. And I managed to get, you know, friendships as well, and people that just are normal people, and they're starting and making jokes and are being funny and whatever. And I sort of came to slowly realize, okay, maybe Scientology isn't really the only thing. Maybe the other things are also good, you know. And then during that time, I was thinking, okay, I have to do now something to get more money, because obviously I left school when I left proper school when I was 10 years old. And then from 10 to 13, I was in a Scientology school in Switzerland. And then from 13 to 16, I was in a SIOC school. So basically no school really. And I didn't do an apprenticeship. I didn't go and study or anything like that. So I had, while I was in the military, I had to sort of decide, okay, what am I going to do now to actually make enough money to survive? And so I was stationed in the military in the kitchen because of my experience in the kitchen in the past. And so all of these young men that were in the kitchen, all of them either have finished their apprenticeship as a chef, as a baker, or anything that in that area of foods, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to have conversations with them that were really fascinating to me, because at that point I would say, yes, I can cook, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Like, why does meat turn brown when you cook it? Like the red meat, why does it turn brown? Or how can salt, acidity, or heat, how can that change the structure of a vegetable or meat? How does it do that? What is happening with the product? What is the chemistry that is happening, for example? I didn't understand these things. So when I would make a mistake, I couldn't be able to follow where was the mistake, because I didn't understand really what I was doing. I was just basically doing what I was told. Okay, you have to do it like this, that, and the other. That worked for me, so I'm going to just do it that way. But I didn't really understand what each step actually does to the product. And thus, I was not able to use that knowledge on other foods. In other words, if I know I can do this, that with a carrot, for example, because it is in the same family of the celeriac, which is the root of the celery, you can do exactly the same thing with it, and you will find the same results. But of course, these sort of connections, I had no idea. So every time I learned a new dish, I had to learn completely from start to end, completely new, because I was not able to make these connections because I didn't understand what I was doing. And these guys who had just finished their apprenticeship, they told me about it, and I thought, oh, fascinating, how fascinating, all this chemistry and mathematics behind it. And I'm just a geek like that and a nerd. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do the apprenticeship as a chef. So I finished my military service, I believe it was in April 2015. And then in August 2015, I managed to find a place where I can do my apprenticeship for 3 years.
Okay.
So during this whole time, I was not able to do Scientology because, of course, you have to pay money for Scientology. During my time in the military, I also just didn't have the time because I was in the military. Sure, I had the weekend. In theory, I could have gone, but I didn't. And during my time in the apprenticeship, I mean, I earned 800 francs a month. I mean, that's nothing. And so I didn't have. I mean, I ended up having to work 2 other jobs on top of working in the apprenticeship to even make enough money, because usually when you do an apprenticeship, you live at home with your parents, so you don't have to pay rent or things like that, and they help you out. But I was on my own because my father was originally going to help me with the rent, but just when I started my apprenticeship, the company where he worked in went bankrupt, but without any forewarning. It was literally, he came to work and it was like, sorry, we're closed, doesn't exist anymore, this company. So he suddenly had no job, so he was not able to financially help me out. Otherwise, probably I wouldn't even have started the apprenticeship. Anyway, I managed to do it in the end. But what happened there is it forced me away from Scientology. So just the physical distance of Scientology. And this is the very first time in my life, with 23, that I was not anymore, well, with 22, because I went in the military when I was 22, that I was not anymore in connection with Scientology, really. I was almost forced. The connection was forced. It was not that I wanted to go, but it was sort of forced. And the longer that I was away from it, the more that the brainwashing that I was always conditioned to sort of wore off. And then when I was in the apprenticeship, that's when I started to dare to go on the internet and look up Scientology on YouTube. And the same thing with Balázs. I started to watch different interviews and documentaries and videos that explain Scientology from other ex-Scientologists and so on and so forth. And slowly, I started to see that how evil Scientology is, how manipulative it is, that it is only about money, it is about infiltration, it is about control and nothing else. It's not really about helping people. But it took me some years.
It's not a religion either.
It's not a religion either, of course. But while I was a Scientologist, I knew this was not a religion. I knew this was just a PR thing. I never believed Scientology was a religion. I always believed Scientology was, if I had to categorize it, I would have said it was a philosophy, or I would have said it's a philosophy rather than a religion. I mean, I knew from a child it's not a religion. I knew this was a PR thing, but I always said, of course, it's a religion, so on and so forth, because of PR. And then by the time I was 25 years old, so it took about 2 years of deprogramming, going on the internet, so on and so forth. But by the time I was 25 years old, I said to myself, all right, I'm not a Scientologist anymore. And from that point, I didn't do what Balázs did, where I wrote an email and sent it directly to my local org and saying I'm not a Scientologist anymore. I just ghosted them. So I just basically didn't answer phone calls, didn't answer emails, just ignored them. And that's how I actually got out of it, really.
And same question I asked Balázs, they didn't harass you or anything like that afterwards?
No. I mean, naturally, I wonder also with you, Balázs, if that's a little bit with you as well. I have grown a little bit paranoid a little bit. For example, this morning, it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. I have a day off today. I was here, and I was actually just shooting a video for my YouTube channel, and somebody rang the bell. So I thought, at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, who's usually I would be at work. So I go there, and there was it's strange. So I opened the door, and there was a gentleman with a clipboard, and he's saying, oh yeah, he's here because of the water, checking with the water. And I said, okay, so you're going to come in now, check the water? And he said, no, I'm just informing you that you're going to get a letter about that. And I asked him, so when is this letter arriving? In 3 weeks. And I said, excuse me, hang on. So you've come here to inform me that in 3 weeks I will get a letter about my pipes being checked for calc or whatever it is. He said, yes. And before I was even able to ask, okay, so which company are you from? What is your name exactly? Who hired you? Like, who told you to come here? He was already gone. He just left. So
this is not the way of Swiss companies to.
That's what I mean. So this sort of thing, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened since I was speaking out, where I think to myself, weird. But maybe I'm just reading way too much into it, because this was a young man. He was, I would say, maybe beginning in his 20s. He didn't even use the in German, we have two different forms of addressing a person. We have the formal form, how you address somebody you don't know or an older person, and the way you would address somebody in a collegial way. And he addressed me in a very collegial way, which of course is very un-Swiss. How dare you? And so I don't know. Maybe it's just sort of his way. I don't know exactly.
Well,
So that's
I grew
why.
up like that in Switzerland, that until someone who is older than you will not address them in the friendly way unless you have a glass of wine and they tell you, I'm not Mrs. So-and-so, I'm
Right.
Bridget.
Yeah.
Okay. So the respect is here. And I don't know, I haven't lived in Switzerland for 25 years. I don't know if the younger generation have been taught that as well, but that's how it was. So when I left the bank that I worked for where I did my apprenticeship, and no, it was not the bank, it was Shell. On my farewell party, the big bosses came and they all say, "Oh, I'm Hans. Oh, I'm this," and I was like, "Ooh, I'm important now." But I was leaving the company, so it was not that. But I would have never, on an official party, go on to someone older than me and say, "Hey, I'm Bridget." Never, because there were.
But this you do see this with young people in shops. When you go in clothes shops or anything like that, they will come up to you and say, "Oh, how are you? Do you need anything?" But using this collegial way rather than the proper polite way. So again, maybe I'm reading way too much into that. But anyway, to answer your original question, no, I have not had anything, no direct harassment or anything like that. I mean, the closest thing to it, there was an article that came out with my story, and then Scientology Scientology Switzerland actually responded on that. The spokesperson for Scientology Switzerland, he responded, and the response was then also published in the same magazine, Mr. Shetler, and he basically said it's all lies, completely blah 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 blah. I mean, that's the closest thing of any sort of anything that I noticed. But in Switzerland, you have very, very stringent privacy laws, and you as an individual person and your own privacy is very protected. So I don't think they will ever do anything direct. They will do very indirect things, maybe things that I might not even notice until maybe months later. Like, for example, this incident this morning. I don't know if it has any. I'll have to go tomorrow and ask my neighbors if this guy also came to them, because if he only came to me, very suspicious.
Well,
but
there might be another good reason. I mean, it could be Scientology. It could also, these days with all the scams going on around the world.
Right, sure.
Checking his home. Perhaps they're looking out when you're at work or when you have a day off, and
Sure.
it can be Scientology, it can be scammers. There are many YouTube channels that you can follow, that hackers that are trying to save people from being scammed out of not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, in America, it's everywhere. I told my mother, who's going to be not nearly, she's going to be 90 at the end of the month. I said, do not buy on the internet. And if you need to buy on the internet because you can't find it in a shop, you ask your granddaughter or your son, but you not doing it. And don't answer the phone to people you don't know, because elderly people are the main targets. So it could be a scam too. So I want to reassure you, it could be either way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
you
not
might get the
scared or
letter.
anything like that. I'm not scared or anything like that. I mean, to me, I'm like, the naughty side of me, the mischievous side of me is like, come on, Scientology, bring it on, give me content, come on.
I'll come to Switzerland and fight with you.
Yeah, I'm not worried or anything like that. But if you don't mind, Bridget, and I'll just very quickly take over the interview and ask, Balázs,
Go
if
on.
you've had like this sort of situation like I had this morning, where you thought that's a bit weird, and you thought to yourself, oh, maybe this is Scientology, anything like that?
Yeah, maybe it started. Yeah, something, they try to taste me on some certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might think that, yes.
Okay.
But you see,
Yeah.
that is the thing is that is why, because we have heard much worse stories from other ex-Scientologists, mainly in America,
Yeah.
where, and even not that long ago, Aaron put a short on his channel yesterday or the day before, where a PI is driving into his car on the highway. That is dangerous. So I do understand that ex-Scientologists in Europe don't want to come forward, but we need to show Scientology that we are not scared. And you see it also with the protester everywhere in the world. America, you guys in Denmark, UK, Australia. We don't have to forget the Australians that are protesting out there as well. Some of them have been through trauma, because of sweating and things like that, which, I mean, did you had, Balázs, also a restraining order, or was it only Miriam who had a restraining order?
I just made the video today about my restraining order. Yes.
Okay. Oh, you had one
And
too?
yeah, it was not granted, so
Good. So you're free of that as well.
yeah, I am okay. Yes.
So we have more and more people who actually winning against them.
Yeah.
I mean, the laws, or the ones that are meant to enforce law, like judges and lawyers around the world, need to start to understand that they have to enforce those laws, and those laws are not made for Scientology, right? Because it doesn't work like that anymore. And that's what is so important, is that we have to continue to do. I at the moment can only do it via YouTube, and don't do it every day, because I sometimes I have to take a break as well. I don't know how it must be for you who are ex-Scientology, but sometimes it goes into my brain and my mental health, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch something really funny all the time on YouTube or on Netflix or something like that for 2 or 3 days, and I don't want to hear anything anymore. And then when I come back, I have the energy I have at the moment. So it's been going on for 2 weeks, my energy. So touch wood. But sometimes you need to have a break. And some other people, or the people that are watching, streamers, protesters, etc., they say, where have you been? Why? Well, I need a break. I need a holiday, And that's sometimes what I don't understand, when they don't understand that people need a break. I mean, if you go to work every day, you're entitled to 4 or 5 weeks a year holidays. You will take it when you can, right? So it's the same on YouTube. I mean, I'm not monetized. I probably never will, because I'm never going to get that far. But at the moment, I'm enjoying it in that way. And I'm going to continue to do interviews with different people, if they are protesters, streamers, activists, ex-Scientologists. I want to hear from these people. And we need to wake up Europe. And I hope you're going to continue to do that as well, and perhaps help me, or we can do other collaborations, or whatever can be done in Europe. Sorry, Baxter. Jesus, sorry, is being a naughty boy. Yeah, it has to continue. Now, I have another question, but no, I'm gonna leave it to it. We might do another one at a later stage or separately. We're gonna check in a minute. I see a number there. Sorry, there are lots of comments, so I'm gonna open the comment section. Check out Ludovic's interview. You don't have to go through the 2 hours, but once in a while, go and have a look. Message him, etc. He would love to have more interactions with ex-Scientologists. He's hoping as well to get more French ex-Scientologists to come forward. He says, though, in France, there are not that many. And the ones that are ex-Scientologists, they don't come forward probably or mainly because they don't want to disconnect from family that are still in Scientology. So I do understand, and on the other side, I don't understand, but I'll try to understand my best because I speak with my heart and sometimes not with my brain. So I apologize for that. So let's be a bit more funny. I want to say something for the ones who haven't seen it. Samuel, I think it wasn't the very first video of you, but you did a short for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't laughed so much. At the time, I was going through a little bit of crap in my life. And
Okay.
I was like, I need to speak to this man one day. He's hilarious. And have you seen it, Balash? It was so
No,
fun.
it did not cross my mind which one is that, but Samuel is a funny guy.
Shall I
Especially
tell you a naughty nun joke?
Yes, but I might not understand it, but go on.
Okay. So 2 nuns are riding on a bicycle through the city on the way to the cloister. Says the one nun to the other, "Come on, let's go through the old part of the city. We'll be there much faster." Says after a while, when they're riding there, says the second nun, "Weird, I've never come this way before." Says the other one, "Yeah, that's because of the cobblestones."
Good.
Well, cheers to that, darling. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Oh, thank you, Samuel. But by tomorrow, I will have forgotten it. Oh no, it's being recorded.
Exactly. And then next week I can be
My
cancelled
mom would
because of
love
it.
that one.
The nun joke. I think
No,
nun jokes are just the best. I mean, I know a dozen or so.
don't remind me. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna click on the comment section. Oh, gee.
Sure.
I'm gonna go up there, and what I'm gonna do. For the ones who joined later after I started, there were not many people. I did say that I would remove the comment section so I won't get distracted because I get distracted very easily. So people who have seen my lives before, I tend at the beginning to say hello to everyone who turns up, and then I forget what I have to say. So I'm going to say it for everyone that is here and watching since the beginning and who has come in later on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you come to listen to these amazing 2 gentlemen's stories. I know they have many more stories to tell, but I just wanted to have a nice chat, really. So let's see if we have any question. It's not really a question, but Nico is a funny man from
Oh yeah, he's quite funny.
Sweden. I think it is a bit like a dam. As long as Scientology keeps the wall up and prevent anything to come out, now the dam is cracking. The more come out, the stronger the flow.
Yeah.
This is very well said.
Very learned. Very learned.
Yes, yes.
I can see he also has a very high forehead, so that shows intelligence, apparently.
Sorry.
Well, obviously, clearly, us two are the exceptions, Balázs.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Oh, let me see. Let's go here. It's more comment probably in the chat, at least in St. Gallen.
Ah,
It's for the ones who don't know, it's a city in Switzerland. Cannot
Right.
protest due to health. Oh, really? As much as I know, you need a permit in Switzerland to protest.
That's true. Yeah.
The same in England.
Same in Denmark.
So it's not like what we see mainly in LA. They just turn up wherever they want. But due to health, has this something, Angela, to do with COVID? I don't know. That's a good answer from Nico again to Angela. We all contribute our own way. Even you watching is a form of protesting. That's very true.
Yeah.
Or activism. As long as you watch and start to understand. Sorry. Continue without me.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. Even if you're just watching it, you don't even have to like or share anything like that, but just watching it and trying to understand what is happening, because then maybe at some point you might actually meet a Scientologist, or you find out that one of your friends or family member is involved in Scientology. You then can understand what is happening, and maybe that way you can help them to sort of realize what is happening and why they shouldn't be in Scientology and so on and so forth. So
And,
yeah,
and even not only to not focus only on Scientology. You can help other people by understanding Scientology and compare to the other whatever organization cults they are in or they are getting into, and the mindset. You can just say, "Oh, look at Scientologists," and they will understand after a while what is going on, you know,
yeah, that's
in
very
the
true.
other with the other organization.
Yeah, because many cults have many similarities.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, and be mindful that not only Scientology exists, other cults exist too. But at the moment, I think it's one of the biggest cults in the world because they're so widespread. But
I think
hopefully,
I think it's the most like well known because of celebrity and because they're buying ads on like huge like in America. I think there's like a huge sports event where they bought like an ad for several $1 million and so on and so forth, and that way they look like really, really present. But really, there's so very few Scientologists in the world, active Scientologists anyway.
yeah. So I have, for example, I don't know about Switzerland. I haven't looked into those figures yet. But for example, Scientology France states they have about 30,000 followers, when in fact it's difficult for governments to find the correct figures. But there's about only 3,000 in France. So,
I think in Switzerland it was around 1,000.
Yeah, well, Switzerland is not a big country, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And they can't do as much as they want in Switzerland that they can do in other countries, really. I don't know. Do you agree with me or not?
In what
I'm
sense
asking
do
you.
you mean that they cannot do as much in Switzerland as other countries?
I think aren't the Swiss more tougher when it comes to have their laws followed, or do Scientology also sometimes get a bit of oh, we're closing that eye, we're not seeing what they're doing?
No. I mean, this in Switzerland, Scientology has to be much more careful because in
Exactly,
Switzerland,
that's what I
Scientology
meant.
is not seen as a religion, and in Switzerland, the police is seen with a lot of respect. We, the Swiss, have a lot of respect
Oh
towards the
yeah, yeah.
police, They don't see them as a joke or anything like that. It's something very serious. And then people still have respect towards the police. I mean, obviously, you're always going to have young people in every generation that are going to be, you know, a bit rude towards the police. But generally speaking,
I've never been rude to the police. I always had respect. Even in this country, I always have respect to the police.
I've had some very rude thoughts when I saw some very good-looking policemen, but I've never
me
said anything to them.
You're not the only one.
You know, that uniform, it just does it for me. I don't know why.
Well, it depends. I don't know. Did they? I mean, when I was a young girl, or I mean, teenager in my early 20s, the police uniforms were not that sexy, I have to say. Did they change it in Switzerland?
Maybe it's changed. I don't remember how the uniform was when I was a child. I don't
because
remember
you didn't have to do much with that.
Yeah, I didn't really notice the police as a child. Yeah.
I mean, even the Swiss Army uniforms were ugly.
They were very
My
ugly,
mom
yeah.
is a seamstress by trade, and she always said, "Why can't I tell them that it's ugly? I would make the best uniforms."
Yeah,
But,
the ceremonial uniform in the Swiss Army is so boring, so plain. It's really kind of sad, really. But on the other hand, that is very much the Swiss nature. The Swiss person is modest and doesn't show what they have. The Swiss don't like talk about the money or all the possessions that they have. You know, the rich, like people who are well off in Switzerland, they live very modestly. They do not have to show what they have and so on and so forth.
Throw it around.
No, they don't throw it around. They're very modest, and you would never necessarily, you know, they're the sort of people that still use the public transport. I mean, we still have ministers in the government, in parliament, in government who use the public transport. You know, they don't have all security, private cars or whatever like that. So that is very much the Swiss nature, you know, modest and not showing what you actually have.
And also, Samuel, I have to say that all the foreign celebrities that choose to come to live in Switzerland, they're very quickly being shut up and they go by not showing off. I mean, Tina Turner, until she passed away last year, she lived outside Zurich. And this woman was very often, Tina Turner, right, was seen in the shopping around the corner shop, going and do her shopping. And we Swiss, when we see a celebrity, we nod. We don't go. We have respect. We might say hello and do a little bit of a shy smile, and that's it. We don't go to them. We don't scream, and you know. When the German F1 Formula driver Michael Schumacher came to live in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, so near Lausanne, he very quickly got shut up because he was flushing around. He bought a house in a tiny village in the middle of the vineyards. He wanted to build 3 meters high walls so people couldn't look into his property. And the Swiss authorities say, you want to live here, you leave it like it is, because in Switzerland there are laws. You can buy properties as a foreigner, but you have to be 10 years in Switzerland to live every day of the year in Switzerland to be allowed to properly buy properties. I don't know, it might have changed by now. And very quickly he understood, oh, perhaps I need to shut up. And I might be a celebrity, but it doesn't work in Switzerland. And it didn't. The people in the village said, you can live here. I mean, Phil Collins lived in a small village near Lausanne, actually very near to a village where my mom grew up. Peter Ustinov, the royal family of Italy, who was, how you say that? Thrown out of Italy, yet they lived in Geneva. But we never heard any of the celebrity making a big, big thing. For me, the image I always made was Tina Turner in the Migros. Migros is a shopping center like Asda or Sainsbury's in the UK,
Yeah.
where she was in the Migros doing her shopping, like you and me.
Mm.
That's how it is. And that's why a lot of celebrities choose to come and live in Switzerland, because people don't make a fuss about them. And that's it. Oh, Shakira used to live just down the road from my mom.
Mm.
Okay, that we get away from, but sometimes we have to be. Okay, I just want to put this up. It's not a question or comment, but SP Crusader says, "Hi everyone, on my way to visit my mom-in-law in hospital. Just wanted to say hi. So I hope she's getting better, and thank you for stopping by, SP Crusader. We all appreciate it very much." Let's see. Do we have some question? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, Nico says, so I had to think about what he meant. But yeah, that was when you guys protested in Denmark that the wife of this guy, I think that guy's wife was even more crazy than him. He acted more like a programmed droid, but she was bonkers. I personally thought they were both bonkers. I think he was more dangerous than she was. If she lets him treat her like he treated all the ladies with you guys, I'm sorry for her. Uh, Miriam says the wife has higher rank, Nico. I said, so she has a higher rank than he has. That's why he was like that with the women,
Maybe.
to bring his male ego out.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna read everything. I say hello to everyone who's still joining or leaving. Do we have questions? No. Here we have a comment from Afila. She's in Australia. He, I can't remember. I apologize. That's disgusting. So sorry, chef. No, at 9, you're not able to decide for yourself.
No, of course not.
Well, in our world, you have mom and dad that decides for you, or one parent if there's only one.
Sure.
That's why I was so shocked as well. That's how I reacted. Where were your parents? But I start to understand a little bit more how this works.
Sure.
Sorry. Here we go. Miriam is asking Samuel. Question for Samuel and Balash. No, for both of you, sorry. Did you have to get to know yourself again for Balash after leaving Scientology? That's a good question, Miriam. Thank you. Balash?
Yes. In my mind, I was never really a Scientologist. That's why I did only the Purif, basically, on the bridge. So, and after leaving Scientology, and I was kind of alone for 2 years. I did not talk about Scientology. I did not really talk to anybody. And after this YouTube channel creation started, and I started to speak out, I realized that I was brainwashed on some certain way in this little bit more than a decade. So yes, I need to get to know myself again. I left my criminal mindset in Hungary. I came here, I got the Scientology mindset. So now I need to leave that too. So basically, yes, I need to find myself again, who I am, basically. And yeah, for this one, I get some help from a psychologist. I started to go to see her last week, so it will be fine. But yes,
Samuel?
I mean, I'm still finding myself. There are certain things where I don't know, is this me or is this my Scientology me? So, I mean, a very, very simple example that just comes to mind now, for example, this is completely irrelevant, but this is just an example that just comes to mind, which is, what is my favorite color? I don't know what my favorite color is. The reason being is when I was in Scientology, again, going back to doing things to please my parents, my mother's favorite color is green. And when I found out about that, I always said my favorite color is green to please her because it's her favorite color. But Scientology is always yellow. All the Scientology stuff is yellow. So I would also say my favorite color is yellow because it's Scientology. So now I say, when somebody asks me what is your favorite color, I say it's yellow and green. But I'm starting to question myself, is that my favorite color? Because I never wear really yellow. I don't wear green. It's not
May
something...
I say something, Samuel?
Sure.
I think you have many favorite colors because, for example, the picture you sent me to put on my thumbnail, or the picture from the Beobachter, which is a magazine in Switzerland. We'll have a quick chat about that in a minute. You're mixing the right colors, and I think these are colors that suit you very well. So I think you have more than one favorite color.
Well, I think that's just because of my gay genes that I can dress properly now.
Perhaps. I like your hats as well. They are amazing.
Oh yeah, I have to wear lots of hats because otherwise I'll get sunburned. Yeah. I have a couple of hats where the top is completely bleached, because I wear them so often outside,
Yeah.
But like this is this is obviously a very, very sort of unimportant thing about the favorite color. But the other things in my life where I'm not sure, is this me thinking this or is this my Scientology background thinking this?
But don't forget, you grew up in Scientology.
Yeah, of course.
So
of course.
It's not like Balázs was someone before he decided to join. You don't know where you're going. You don't know who you were because you were always in Scientology from the very beginning, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, it doesn't, it doesn't take up my, my time of day. Oh my God, who am I exactly? I'm not really that concerned about it. But there are sometimes moments where I think I'm not sure who am I, really. And, the same thing with finding my purpose in life, finding the thing that really makes me happy. That's not something I can grasp. And I don't know if I will ever be able to grasp that, because since I can remember, I've been told my purpose in life is to save the planet. And the only way to do that is through Scientology. And now this has been removed from me. I don't have this purpose anymore. And whatever purpose I'm trying to find will never be equal to or higher than saving the planet. I mean, what could be better than that, right? And so for a long time, I was very depressed because of that. And I had a lot of, crisis in my life trying to find, why am I even here? Like, what's the point of me being even here? What is the point of my existence, And then at some point, I just sort of said, oh, whatever. And I'm just living my life now. But every once in a while, I do have to wonder, okay, so where am I going? Like, where do I see myself in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? Look a little bit in the future. And I have difficulty with that. But I'm just, since starting to wake up from Scientology by the age of 23, I'm now 30 years old. And so since then, don't you laugh at me. Since then, I've been slowly discovering myself and finding myself and learning along the way. I'm still very naive. I see the world oftentimes in rosa tinted glasses, and I get tricked and sort of, I fall for very easy traps, so to speak, sometimes just because I'm too naive at times. But, you live and learn. That's, Yeah. So I haven't. So to answer the questions, I have not discovered myself yet fully, but I'm getting there.
I wish you all the best with it. I
Cheers.
think you both are great people, and don't look back. I know it's easy for me to say, but it's not probably easy to forget a lot of things. But we are all here to help, and like I said, there are lots of people that care about you. Well, I do care.
Hmm.
Give me a second. While you were talking, not that I wasn't listening, I was starring questions and
Oh, very good.
comments.
Yeah.
So let me go back up there, find the one to remove. So Miriam, thank you. So Maya, aka Alice in Art Supply Hordaland, question: Balash, do you have any contact with your family now?
Yes. I can call them, or we can write to each other anytime. Yes, but at the moment I decided not to.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. So at the moment we don't talk too much. Let's say that.
You
But
have to
my
do.
mom just wrote to me before the live stream, so it's all good.
That's good. Yeah. You have
Yeah,
to do you and what is the best for you and your mental health. With or
yeah,
without family. Sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, because
yeah.
family you cannot choose. You can't choose family.
Exactly. Sorry, Baxter is snoring. Early on, he was doing something in the kitchen. God knows what he did there. Let's continue. I apologize. I can't go through everything. Ah, I missed this one, so we put this up. El Sarmento. Who makes and sells the uniforms? Does Crows manufacture their own or contract out? I don't
I know one answer. When
go
I
on.
was in Amsterdam to open the new ideal org and close the old one, there was one public Scientologist, a Dutch, actually a couple, a marriage couple, and the guy was a company owner, and the guy made the shirts for the Sea Org and for the staff members too. So he was making a lot of money, by making the some kind of uniforms. He was specified for the shirts.
Yeah.
But did you say he was a Scientologist?
Of course, he was a
Of course,
Scientologist.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
they contract out, they would contract out to Scientologists, right?
I assume yes. Most of the
Mm.
time, yes.
I would even say about anything really. Like if they need to get,
Yeah.
like if they can't get the staff to do some prepare work on the building because it actually legally they have to get a professional company to
Mhm.
do it, then they will whenever possible get a Scientologist to do that, because of course then automatically they will get a better price, a better deal, naturally, and they have guaranteed silence if they see anything,
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Angela. Samuel, I think you described synthesia, which is heightened perception of sensation, not always the same, like colors, etc.
Might be.
Oh, that had to do with
With the taste.
with the
Food
taste.
and yeah, yeah.
Me thinking of something, I can taste it immediately. Yeah,
You see, yeah, these are big
could be.
words for me. I never heard of synthesia. I'm gonna have to Google it later on. Okay. Yeah. And Scientology up north. Just a side comment. Samuel is way hotter chef than Gordon Ramsay. I agree
Thank you, darling.
because you speak English, proper English. Even though I have to say, I do have a crush on Gordon Ramsay, but he does swear way too much for my liking.
I have a crush on his bank account.
Me too. But he has too many kids he has to take care of, The Holy Rogue. Fluffer, thanks for the post to get here. Oh, thank you, Fluffer. I didn't know.
Fluffer,
That's
hello.
very kind. Fluffer Squirrel, that's my mod.
My mod too.
I know she's, and I mod for her. I said, look, if you're late, doesn't matter. I don't have any trolls at the moment, so I'm quite happy. But it's always nice to have Fluffer around. Let's go to this one. I have no doubt that Samuel's food is excellent. With his passion about the food, he knows what he's doing. I think so too, because otherwise I wouldn't feel so hungry. The day I don't know if I can go to Switzerland this year, but when I go next year, you have to come down to Montreux and come and cook for me.
Oh, right.
Here, the Holy Rogue. Elron Hapcold, your story is great to hear.
Thank you. It was great to live it.
Yes. Amber, comment. For me, Sea Org School was a day that go do whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know what she means about, because I was obviously in the cadet org, and then I had to go to the cadet school, and it was a joke. I mean, it wasn't a school. I mean, there were two people. You had the school IC, which was a wonderful lady. Her name was Regina. She was born on the 26th of March, either 1936 or 38. But she was really great. And then the other person was the cadet IC. And that's it. Both of them not qualified as teachers or anything like that. And we basically got away with doing nothing the whole time during the school time. We didn't really do much, or just pretended to do things, because, we were children. I mean, the only thing I can say is I learned proper English, because we had these very old-fashioned books. I mean, these books, they were already 50 years old or something when I arrived, and they were made to learn English. And they were actually really brilliant. And I've always tried to find them again somewhere else. I've never been able to find them. And there were a whole series of books where the first 10 books only used 300 words, or 300 separate words. I mean, the whole book is maybe 1,000 words, but it only uses 300 different words. And then the next 10 books use 500. The next 10 use 800, and it would go on like that. And you would just basically read your way through and very slowly learn the language. And because these were quite old-fashioned books, and they would take classical books, like they would take Shakespeare, they would take like just authors of the 19th century, and then just make them really, really simple, and yet still use very elegant words and phrasing and so on and so forth. And I would say that is something that really helped me to get proper English, the English really. But that's the only benefit I really got out of the cadet school.
Look, Samuel, the problem is that if you see how children or teenagers or young adults write, or how they text, how they write emails, I don't know what kind of English they learn here in the UK, to be honest with you, because in my early 20s, I told you the story, Samuel. I went to London to perfect my English. I just knew what I learned in school, and I heard my parents speak English a little bit from their days back in Australia. So I learned the English when we were taught. When you get introduced to someone, you say, how do you do? How are you? I never heard that for at least 15 years. People don't say, how do you do, respect me. Say, hey, how you, woo, and
Yeah.
everything is now abbreviated. For
Oh,
me,
yeah.
it doesn't matter which language, German, French, English, Italian. If you come with abbreviation, I have difficulties. Very often I can figure out what the abbreviation is, and
Sure.
other times I don't. And that gave me a lots of issues at work, because in work environment, especially in IT, in information technology, everything is abbreviated. And I had really a hard time with that. So I understand when you text, you don't have as many characters to write a text, and you can't really use it like an email, and you have to abbreviate so you can write more. But no, I'd rather more using messengers, things like that. And then I write normal English, the English I learned, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not about me, but I always end up talking about myself. I apologize. So
That's
I
quite all right.
wanted to put this up because I thought that was really nice. Traveltology. Bonjour, hello, guten Tag, grüezi. And then that I don't know how to say. Is that
Jó napot
Hungarian?
kívánok!
Say that again.
Jó napot kívánok!
Yo napot kivano.
Perfect.
Good dag, hello, un grand merci à vous, et voilà Brigitte. Merci beaucoup. I just thought that was nice and cute. Maya. It is like learning to play an instrument without learning to read notes. You have to memorize a lot. Yes,
Yes.
speaking of experience. So that we're coming back to your cooking, right, Samuel?
Oh, cooking. Yes. This was before I actually went to culinary school. You just have to memorize how to do things, and you don't understand why you're doing it. You just know it works. Great. But you don't really know. But when you really understand what you're doing, you don't have to memorize it because it comes natural, because it's logical to do these things, because you really understand what you're doing. It's logical to do it that way. You don't even have to think about it really. And that opened so many. I mean, I was such a nerd in culinary school. I would ask questions where the teacher would roll his eyes, like, we're not scientists here, okay? We're just gonna learn how to fry an egg, okay? Pull yourself together. So I would get a little bit too much into that, but yeah, it's really fascinating. The
There
science,
is a
mathematics
chef.
of it.
There's a chef in the UK. Do you remember him? I haven't heard from him in a while or seen him on television for a long time, but he was cooking with science. Do you remember
Blumenthal.
who?
You mean
Huh?
Blumenthal? Blumenthal?
Yes, Blumenthal. I can't remember
Blumenthal.
his first name. I
Yeah.
was fascinated with what he was doing. That was
Yeah.
yeah. Dum, dum, dum. There's another Maya. Thank you, Maya. Why? I had no idea Swiss people are so formal.
Yes.
Well, it's our culture. That's
It's a
the way.
cultural thing. Yeah.
It's a cultural thing. If you go to Italy, they say "Ma come va." They speak with the hands and feet.
Yeah.
Samuel, you speak
Screaming.
Italian too. And for me, automatically, when I speak Italian, I
Yeah.
start doing this.
The same with me. Yeah.
It comes automatically. I don't know why for me, but and then you speak French. Also Switzerland, we have 4 languages. And I'm not talking about English, even though English is starting to be a part of a national language in Switzerland. But you have the Swiss French part, you have the Swiss German part, and unfortunately, the poor Swiss Italian are being forgotten very often because the Swiss French and the Swiss Germans are sometimes, not on
More
the same
dominant.
page.
Yeah.
You remember the Röstigraben, but you might have been in in Scientology, so you might not have known about that, or you heard about it later. But no, you were in Scientology. So I was about 18, 19. It's when we had our first vote for Switzerland to join Europe. And so the Swiss French said, no way we join Europe. The Swiss Germans were, we want to. And so we got this like a border between the Swiss French and the Swiss German, and we called it the Röstigraben. So for the ones who don't know Rösti, Samuel knows because he's a cook. Rösti is a Swiss dish. So it's grated potatoes and you fry it in a frying pan. It's like the British
hash browns.
Hash browns. Thank you very much.
Similar, yeah.
Voila. And graben, how would you translate a graben in
graben? It's a ditch.
A ditch, thank you. So the roasted ditch, you know. Well, we all know Switzerland is not a part of the European Union, so it never went through. So the Swiss French won. So that was but I do remember at the time we did forget what the Swiss Italian wanted. No clue. No one remembers. Yeah. So we have tendency to forget them, even though their part of Switzerland is beautiful. But everywhere you go in Switzerland, if you tell a Swiss French, oh, you're French, they say, no, I'm Swiss French. You go to Zurich, for example, and you say to a Swiss German, oh, you're German. No, I'm Swiss. You tell a Swiss Italian, oh, you're Italian. No, I'm Swiss Italian. So make sure, don't tell them that, because they're not from somewhere else, they're Swiss.
Yeah, it's like saying to a Scottish person, you're from England.
That doesn't go down very well at all. Yeah. But on either side, it doesn't work well. You know, but hey, I wish I was Scottish. I love it here.
Yeah, me too, because then I can wear a kilt all day long, you know? Let everything dangle in the wind, darlings.
Oh, you would look amazing with a kilt. I'm pretty
I just have to get myself a Scottish man, and then I have a perfect excuse.
There are some good ones, but I'm sorry, Samuel, I can't help you with Scottish men. I had one that was enough. But you never know. Come and visit me. I know where to go. We can find one. We never know. Okay. Angela. I have the impression Angela is from Switzerland. I am loving this panel from a Swiss European point of view. Finally. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think she's from St. Gallen.
Oh, yes. St. Gallen. I remember my grandparents used to love to go to the cathedral in St. Gallen. And we had to sit in church. My brother and I were sleeping because we didn't care. My grandparents were from Belgium. They didn't understand a word of German or Swiss German, but they would sit for 1.5 hours in church, listen to someone talking in a language they don't understand.
Dedication.
The cathedral in St. Gallen is beautiful, yes. I came to the end of the start, but there are so many more. I've never seen so many comments. Hey, guys. Okay, let's see what that is. Traveltology. If there are any Dutch people in here, I'm looking for help to dig out the rabbit hole of a Dutch front group of Scientology. Perhaps Balázs can help? You said you were in Amsterdam.
I was in Amsterdam, but I haven't seen so much. Only the old org and the new ideal org. I was locked up, you know, to work nonstop. But I can look for some memories or some whatever. Yeah, we can find out something. Should be an email on the what's my email address? aerohubcart@gmail.com.
I was just going to say what your email address is. Good. And I do apologize for everyone who is here, and if I miss any comments, but there are so many. I'm doing my best. I don't. Uh, New name. You don't need a permit for a static protest in the UK. Now, what does static mean?
It means it stands, and you're not moving from one location to another location, or you're not, or like one of those classic protests where you walk down a street with banners and things like that, where you just stay in one station. Similar like what Balash, Miriam, and like the protest that we did in Denmark. That was a static protest where we stayed basically there,
Okay.
and we didn't move around and stuff.
So you didn't need a permit there for that protest? I thought you had to at the time.
We had the permit, yes, in Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the UK, apparently not.
Yeah. But
But
you can
still-
go out and protest without any permit in Denmark, but you might take the chance that the police will move you away or send you away, or anything can happen. If you have the permit, you are still not 100% safe from this attitude from the police, but if you behave on a certain way, then the police just take a look, and that's it.
Yeah.
I would say though, and I did put a link on the resources.sptv.space for in the category for protester for the UK and Scotland. Make sure if you decide to protest anywhere in the UK, go online and look. There is a possibility that from county to county, laws might be different as well. So don't take anyone's word for it. Even though, thank you, new name, but personally, I would check before I do something. In Scotland, is slightly different than in the UK, but it is possible that from county to county is different. So check before you go anywhere. If you need how you say that, a permit, and also in those links I put in, they also tell you how to behave, because if you don't behave in a certain way, and you get into trouble with the police, you might end up somewhere you don't want to end up, rather ending up in a restaurant having a good meal. I'm just saying, but that is, everyone does what they want. Okay, someone I never seen before. Hello, dancing deer. For info, hi, I experienced a lot of short interruption in the stream. Is that for all or only on my side? Greetings from Belgium. Oh, hello from Belgium. I'm half Belgian too. Yes, there were some. I think it came from Balash and also Samuel. I don't know about me. I was worried because I had some interruptions this morning. I have actually quite a good. Hey, Bonnie, shush.
Bless you.
No, she's not sneezing. She's excited, and Bonnie, why don't you sit up and show your lovely face? No, she doesn't. Sorry. She might one day. Anyway, yeah, there were some early on, but they were not that bad, I think. I understood what you guys were saying. Some people said they didn't have any issues with the stream. Something funny in between. Nico, F-Scientology is a well-armed hot air balloon losing its air. Slowly. It will take time, though. Yes. But some men too,
Hmm?
right? Some uh, I don't really agree 100% with that, Nicole. We can be flamboyant or show off, but in different ways, in
And
our
more,
own ways.
yeah, I mean, I would say in a private setting,
Yeah.
like not really on the street, but privately. Privately in a private party or anything like that. Go to a I don't know, dress up party or whatever. Sure, we do have that, but you would. It's unusual for seeing somebody walking down a street with feathers and I don't know what, some outrageous something. You very rarely see, and if you do see that, people will just stare. They will just stare. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more privately. We can be quite flamboyant, of course, but usually outside on the streets, in a business settings, at work, it's very professional with suits and tie and so on and so forth. And then at home or in private friends setting, we might be quite different. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, discretion and privacy are in the Swiss DNA.
Mm.
Yes. That is a common from Scientology up north. That is quite interesting. But not Sea Org uniforms. They only get one pair of pants and they're often so worn off you can see through them. I couldn't live with just one pair of pants. Ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I bought my own. You know what? I still have my trousers from when I was in a SEOC. I bought them myself. That's why when I left, I took them with me.
Are you right?
Yeah, I have them actually right here in my drawer. I don't know if I probably still fit in them. I'm pretty much the same. They are from an American name called Dickies, and I had those as a uniform just to wear in the kitchen. So oftentimes you just end up buying yourself your own uniform. It's not never gonna ever match properly, But in my case, it didn't really matter because I was in the kitchen, so nobody was gonna see me. So it didn't really matter what trousers I was wearing. But oftentimes you only have one pair, or if you're lucky, two pairs, and then you just have to do laundry like at least once a week or twice a week or so, and then you just have to stay up all night to do your laundry because you only have. I mean, we were at St. Hill, we were 350 staff, and we had a laundry room, and we had maybe 10 washers and 10 dryers for 350 people, and that's it. And we didn't have time specifically allocated to us to do laundry. We had to just find time whenever. And as soon as you got home, you threw your laundry in there and you stood next to those laundry machines, because as soon as it is done and you're not there taking it out, somebody else will rip it open, take out your laundry, throw it on the floor. If they're considerate, they'll put it maybe in the basket or the bag that you've put there, and then they'll just put their laundry in there. So you end up just staying the whole night, waiting until you finally can do laundry. Or you can maybe discuss with somebody, okay, you don't have so much laundry, I don't have so much, can we put it together? I'll pay this time for the washing liquid, because that's not provided by Scientology. You have to buy your own washing up liquid.
Wow.
Yeah, laundry that's why so many SEAL members gave that job to the cadets to do the laundry. Because the cadets, they were usually at the berthing, so where the people lived and where the laundry facility was, so they could do it during the day, so that when you as a SEAL member came home, the laundry was done.
I hate laundry. I hate ironing.
Yeah, me too. I don't like it. But I'm the kind of person, I only wear shirts, so I've got lots to iron. So I usually wait until I've got 20 or 25 shirts, and I'm like, okay, now maybe I should start ironing, and then I'm the whole day ironing that stuff. But then I usually put on some pop music from the 80s or something and sort of dance my way through all the creases.
Well, I have to tell you and admit, I haven't done any ironing to my clothes in 20 years. It works very well. You just need to know how to hang up your washing,
Sure.
and it will be okay. Or I use my steam machine.
Yeah, that's good. But we learn how to hang our clothes in Sea Org. There is policy for that, how to wash it, how
Of
to
course.
hang it up,
Of course.
how
Yeah.
it will be dry.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Also how to store, like how to fold. Like I
Yes.
still fold my laundry the way I learned in the SEOC. I just do it automatically. And also the socks. There's a very specific way of how to put your socks in the sock drawer. So you have the sock and you roll it up really, really tightly, and then you close it, and you only have like a show. I can actually show you right now.
Oh yeah, come on, show me. Oh,
Like that. You roll it up and it's like this.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's how you
I
learn in the
put them
SEOC.
together and do like that, but then
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Exactly. You like that, but you roll up really tightly and then do it like that. So because that's the most efficient way, you save up the most amount of space. And you have to do it like that because you learn to do it like that. I believe you learn it on the EPF that way, and everybody does the laundry like that.
Yeah, but if you only have one pair of pants, how many pairs of socks do you have? You don't
Well-
need that much space.
Well, I mean, socks and underwear, that's something you have to buy for yourself. You don't get that given by the SEOC. You have to buy these things yourself, of course.
Okay. I'm gonna infiltrate and go and annoy them. Sorry, I'm gonna quickly go. You know, every time I think I'm at the end, it does buffer and there's more coming.
Well, I mean, we don't have to,
No, that's why
do
I'm
everything.
filtering through.
Yeah.
They're asking me if I have a dog. Someone is snoring. I have 2 dogs and the cat. So that's why I'm calling in my zoo or my tigers. Like I said, I apologize if we can't go through it, but lots of things they're talking to each other. Just quickly, Rika has shown, has come in late. Thank you, Rika. And she says hello to Samuel and Hapcold as well.
Hello,
Lovely
darling.
lady. Yeah. No, I'm at the bottom. Give me a second. What's here? Fluffer, put your email address in the comments, Balazs. Oh, what's happening now? Sorry. Miriam, this conversation is going all directions. I love it. Yeah, it's my fault. I put my hands up. It's me. It's me. It's not about me, but I'm sorry.
Oh, but that's all right. I mean, we don't have, it doesn't, I mean, Scientology is a very serious subject. And so I think it's nice to sort of like talk about something serious and then go off a little bit off topic and then come back again, go off topic. It makes it a bit, I think, easier to digest.
And also, I think to speak about Switzerland, I mean, I grew up in Switzerland from the age of 4 till the age of, I can't remember now, 32, 33. I was in Switzerland. I grew up in Switzerland. So it's nice, to talk about it with a fellow Swiss, you know. So, okay, so more. Oh, look who is here. Hello, you 3 treasures. Oh, thank you, Tilty. Thank you for joining. And El Sarmento. Imagine a cult being so high control that even how to fold your socks is mandated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything. I mean, really everything. Like everything, anything you can imagine. How to sew on a button, how to polish your shoes, how to clean a window, and how dare you if you do it other than how Hubbard says to do it. Because only he knows the ultimate method of doing it.
But has not. So when you're in Scientology, do Scientologists talk to each other and say, well, how come L. Ron Hubbard hasn't come back yet?
Oh no,
Haven't
we
they
haven't.
actually didn't realize that he's never gonna come back?
But you know, it's interesting because somebody else talked about this in a stream, and I had to think about it because I grew up with both informations. I grew up with the information of he's going to come back, and you know,
Oh.
in a next life he's going to come back and take over again and continue whatever. And I also heard the information that he's written down everything. He's written down all the OT levels up to OT 15 with exact instructions when they are supposed to be released and so on and so forth. And he's left everything in capable hands. And now he's flown off to target number 2 to start the second planet, to go to the second planet where there is intelligent life, to start there with Scientology. So by the time that we have finished here on this planet and we all go to target number 2, he has already done like the beginning work of it. So I grew up with both information, but I can't tell you like what did I hear first, what did I hear second? Like, did I hear the one thing when I was a regular Scientologist and the other thing I heard when I was in the SEAL? I really don't know. Because at the same time, I also knew that, for example, at Saint Hill Manor, so the manor is in East Grinstead where the Scientology base was, and that's where Hubbard, he lived in the manor itself, right? And I was told, although I've never seen it, but I was told that every day his clothes gets laid out on the bed. Every single day, his clothes get laid out. His clothes get washed, ironed, they get fixed. You know, these clothes are 50 years old or whatever it is, and they get laid out. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, wow, you know, that's like really like, it reminded me of Queen Victoria when her husband died. She also every day laid out the clothes, but this was because of mourning, because she mourned him. She loved him very much. And I thought sort of like, oh, it's very romantic. But I remember thinking, but that doesn't really make sense, because how do they know if they're going to be, if Hubbard's going to come back as a man or a woman, or how he's going to look? Like, what's his size? He's never going to fit necessarily in those clothes.
Is he going to be in a child's body? You don't. They wouldn't know it.
Well, things like that. I remember thinking that. I thought, it's a bit weird, but you know, you just sort of don't really think about it. You don't allow yourself these critical thoughts.
Yeah.
How would you respond to that, Balázs?
I would respond like, we talked about LRH, where he is or if he is coming back, but the answer was always he's on target too.
Right.
So he's preparing for the next Earth-like. Whatever. So no, the subject was dropped very shortly after. He is there, so we need to save the planet, so we need to work, we need to focus, go for it.
Yeah.
Because he's waiting for us to clear this planet and move on. And
he died in his in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So by now he might be on target 3, you know.
Wow. If he wants to be upstate, then yes. Right.
Well, look, he started Scientology in the 50s. He died in the 80s, so about 30 years. So 80s, now we 2024. Yeah, he must be on target 3 by now, really.
Probably, yeah.
So by the time you getting to the end of your life, so you're not going to target 2, you're going to go to target 3 or 4 or 5 by then, you know.
Right.
He's a very busy man, isn't he?
Very busy, yeah.
But do you, in Scientology, do people know that he was actually a felon, a criminal?
No, of course not. No.
Of course.
No, because there is no official autobiography from L. Ron Hubbard. There is an official autobiographer. I don't remember his name. He's a SEAL member. And he will he used to come on events and he would talk a little bit and so on and so forth. but he's never actually published a proper autobiography. And the reason being is because either it has to be full of lies that, of course, immediately will be exposed by the media if it's a published book, or he would have to actually write the truth, which would obviously
and probably
destroy.
also by the IRS, because he did flee America for a while, and that's why
he fled.
he had that
I mean,
ship.
he was persecuted in France. He was supposed to show up in court, and he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why he ended up on the sea and
Exactly,
starting the sea work, because when you are in national waters, then
You're
waters that don't belong,
untouchable,
you're untouchable. They don't belong to any country. So if you're a criminal and you're in the sea, nobody can really get you, because you're not on any land. You're, national waters. And that is why he went there in the first place. But of course, we don't learn that. We learned that he went to the sea to get to not be distracted by everything else, other going ons, and so on and so forth. And that is why he went in the Sea Org. And we learned that the reason why he got to Dynetics is because he was heavily wounded during the Second World War, because he was such a highly decorated officer in the Navy, and he was heavily wounded. He got the Purple Heart, which is the highest recognition.
He didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what we were told. And that is the basis of what they say, how he came up with Dynetics, because he used Dynetics to heal himself from his war wounds. But now, if you find out that the only thing he had was pink eye, because a little bit of lack of hygiene, and that was pretty much all that he had, it kind of completely collapses the whole idea. Well, hang on. If that is true, and he didn't heal himself from Dynetics, what else isn't true? And when you start digging, you find so much lies. And like, for example, he pretended he never had 3 wives. He said always he only had 2 wives, and the first wife died. And that's why he got married to the second wife. But he actually had 3 wives. And, things like that. There's so many lies that I was covered up. And we never know any of that. We were always presented the beautiful history of Hubbard, and of course there's no reason for us to question it or to doubt it, because we already think he's brilliant.
Early on you said something that that I remembered. You said, about other religion have been here for thousands of years, etc., and look what they've done. And actually, I did a video a week or so ago about I'm a sad woman. I'm lonely, not always lonely, but I'm alone, and I love watching the Real Housewives of there, and there. And obviously the big talks were about Rebecca Minkoff joining the cast of the Real Housewife of New York City. Mm-hmm. She's not really a cast member. She's a friend of one of the cast member, and she comes in and out. She's not a real cast member of the show.
Right.
And therefore, and I think it was in Elle or in Vogue, they interviewed her, and obviously, they're trying to get her to say something about Scientology. And her answer was look about Judaism and Christianity. They have been here for 3,000-4,000 years. Look how long it took them to be established. And we are just a young one. And I thought, that's very strange to say. I mean, it's not a religion. So why are you comparing it to Judaism and there are other religions out there that are as important as Catholics and Jews and things like that. But I thought, what a strange thing to say. And then when you said that, I'm like, Rebecca Minkoff.
Yeah, because
it was a similar.
It's a superiority complex. We are better than everybody else. We are the only one who really know what we're talking about. I mean, look at the other ones. They've been around for so long. They haven't done anything proper anyway. And I mean, Hubbard even talks on, I believe, on OT8 or something. He talks very, very, very derogatorily about Christianity and about Jesus Christ and so on and so forth. I mean, it is very clear he thinks very little of religion. And the name of Scientology is the Church of Scientology. Also in Switzerland, it is the Church of Scientology. And that is just the name. It doesn't mean it's a church, right? It's just the name of it. And normal people, like people who are not really into the subject, they hear Church of Scientology, they just think, all right, it's a church. They don't realize it's just the name. It's not a title, Church Scientology. No, it's just one name, right? And they use this one name to make it sound as though it is a church. And whenever Scientologists get asked very specific religious question, they'll say things like, oh, well, you would never ask this actor what his religion is. Why do you have to, and that always trying to whataboutism, and sort of trying to distract and pretend as though they are a legitimate religion like the other ones. And yeah. And never really answer the question.
Now I forgot what I wanted to say. Oh, forget it. It will come back. Just quickly. Tilty bird. You don't allow yourself those critical thoughts is such a heartbreaking sentence. Something that should be such an integral part of your independent intelligence and curiosity. Exactly.
Yeah. But this is not just in cults. This is in everyday lives. I mean, even amongst friends. I mean, if you're very good friends with somebody and somebody tells you this, that, the other, there's no reason to question it. You just believe it, right? And it could very well be true. But this is just, I mean, I'm not saying friendships is a cult or anything like that, but I'm just saying this is an everyday thing of people not questioning things that they trust, that they believe in. Like, why would you question that if you're part of that, if you trust that? And yeah.
But I have to say that I have good friends, but I have a small circle of friends that are around me or nearby who I trust. But with age, I stopped trusting everyone, regardless, because I used to be like that. I trusted everyone and I believed everything. With age, I had to step back. So the ones that are near me or the people that are my friends for decades and decades, I trust. But when I meet new people, I have difficulties to trust easily. It comes with time. I'm just being careful because my mother say it's human nature to be careful. And I'm like, okay, I'm not human then because I did trust everyone. I thought everyone was like me. And I didn't grow up in a cult, sorry, but you know what I mean? It is. But now, I want to go to Switzerland either this year or next year, but to find someone to look after the dogs and my cat and look after my flat, I can't trust easily. So it will take time until I find someone I can say, okay, I can give you my keys and you stay here a week, because I'm not putting my dogs in a kennel ever again. It's like a prison, and Bonnie didn't eat for a week, and I'm not doing that to her ever again. So yeah, but hey, everyone is different, right?
Yeah, of course.
That was still Miriam. Bridget has cracked the code. I suppose she's saying that about Elron being what did you
on target 2 and 3?
Target 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Target. I think he's on target 3 by now.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're getting to the end slowly. That's interesting. El Sarmento. His first stop on his initial voyage was a stop in the Azores Islands, where I'm from. Thankfully, there is still no established Scientology there. Good.
Excellent.
They shouldn't get there either. And Fluffer is giving the end of the comments. Thank you all for joining the stream today. I joined Fluffer with this. Your time and support are greatly appreciated. Please remember hitting the like and subscribe. Look, I don't really, I always said I would never ask anyone to like my videos or subscribe, but it helps for the videos talking about, like our panel today, right? To get out there.
Sure.
And the more you
Absolutely.
like the videos of people talking or making videos that are important and giving this message out there, the more these videos are seen is by algorithms from YouTube. And it's the help we need from you is to press that like button. And if you haven't subscribed and you're interested to see more from all the people you watch, subscribe. It doesn't cost a penny. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we need a laugh. Sorry, that's Nico for you all, and then we will go to the end. No more, Nico. Every time you hit the like button, a bird poops on it or something. Sorry, I was actually looking at another one and I actually clicked the wrong one. That's the one. The more likes and subscribes, the more Osa's underwear will itch.
Oh,
We're going to
good.
finish on this note. Balash, Samuel, I so enjoyed this. Perhaps we can do another one
Sure.
about something
Sure.
completely different.
hmm
It's up to you. If you ever do a panel and you want someone that has never been in Scientology and you want someone like me who has a big mouth, but you can press mute on me, you can invite me.
Okay.
Thank you. And I just can't stop. I'm a bit emotional now, but thank you so much. I loved having this with you guys. I need to obviously mention Ludovic as well again from
Mm.
the recording we did yesterday. I hope we be able to do a Q&A for him too. But because it's in French, you will have to all, sorry, I have a fly that is annoying me. When you start watching the video, go to settings or click the little card, which is the subtitles that will pop up in English. I know, but he's French, and so we did it in French. And we need more other people from other languages
Oh,
watching
yeah.
these videos as well. Okay.
hmm
So again, thank you very much, Balash, Samuel, and I hope we
Thank
can do
you.
it
It
again.
was my pleasure.
No,
Yes.
it was my pleasure,
Likewise, my deepest pleasures,
darlings.
darlings.
Et voilà, Brigitte. Bye bye, everyone.